Hey guys, this is Chesney Hawks here. You are watching My Hammers 11 with the one and only Russ.
Hi everybody, Russ from My Hammers 11. Hope you're all safe and well from your channel. Please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon to be made of any time putting new content on. As always, like to thank our lovely channel sponsors, Untuck It. Check them out in the description below. Done. Today's guest, another ex-Hammer, and currently manager at the Daggers, Dagger and Redbridge. It's DARYL McMAHON. How are you doing, Daryl? How are you, man?
You okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. How's things for you in this sort of crazy world we live in at the moment?
Very, very different. I think it's been the most difficult season. I think player role manager that we've had because of everything going on. Just trying to navigate our way through it and looking forward to the day when everything gets back to normal.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. It's starting to, isn't it? It seems like, especially next week, the pubs are open.
That's what every man. The pubs are open next week. Everyone's got the clock on timer.
It's so true. It's so true. I'm exactly the same. Literally like waiting for the pubs to open. Well, I'm not a pub person. I'm really not a pub person, but for some reason, this day is like a really exciting day. I'm looking forward to. I think because it means, everything else starts to open. The shops start to open a little bit more and stuff. So I think, yeah, it's the pubs is great, but I think my daughters and my wife have had enough of not going to Next or Blue Water or stuff like that or Lakeside. So hopefully they can go and do some stuff differently rather than watching Netflix, for example.
Yeah, I agree. Two young girls, myself and my wife, they're looking forward to going shopping as well. There's enough.
Yeah.
I'm fed up putting the cardboard boxes out, to be honest. So it's nice to go to the shop.
I permanently, I think the Amazon guy literally knows me by first name now. Um, so many parcels is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And obviously, in terms of you guys, obviously back to it's Easter holidays. My daughter decides she wants to come and say hello. And obviously, how's the season going for you guys at the moment? Obviously, the Daggers, obviously synonymous with West Ham. Lots of old players went to play for the Daggers and stuff as well. How's it? And obviously, the women play there as well. So, how's it going with you at the moment in the season, man?
Yeah, I think we probably would like to be a bit higher than we are. I'm being brutally honest. I think we signed some good players in the summer. We've been so stop-start, and it's every time we've kind of slow this year. We've probably in December we got into a really good vein of form, and we were off for 2 weeks for COVID, and then it happened again in February time. So it's been so stop-start for us. So it's been difficult, but it's been the same for everybody else. And like I said before, I'm just looking forward to hopefully getting some normality back and it's the little things as well, around the training ground. We can't use the changing rooms still, and you literally drive up in your car and get out your car and go onto the pitch and then train and go home. So it's been difficult to build that kind of team spirit at our level when you sign new players, etc. But as I say, looking forward to finishing the season strong and then get ready for next season.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are doing the same, aren't they? It seems that, particularly in the Premier League, like teams like Southampton and Wolves, they seem to like literally not put their feet up already, but they're just like almost shutting the door this season. One team that's not is West Ham, of course.
And he's on the go.
It's all good. We're still going. We can't. We don't want this season to end, do we? West Ham, bloody hell! It's it's a special season for us at the moment, which is great, and yeah, hopefully it'll be even a specialer one. All we've got to do is win the next 8 games now. That's all we've got to do. Win the next 8 games, win the Champions League. It's not too much to ask, surely.
If only it was that easy, but no, they're playing great, aren't they? I mean, Monday night it was terrific against Wolves. A tough place to go against Wolves, and I mean Lingard's been awesome, and he's made such a to the team. He's been absolutely terrific. Give it another dimension, I think.
Yeah, he really has. He really has. But it's just the whole team, and it's like, it just seems, there's a real buzz. And I mean, as a manager, when you're in a good spot with a team, when there's a buzz around it, there seems a buzz around the team, around the training staff and the club itself. And yeah, I mean, I've been working technically for the club for 20 years, 20 seasons. This is my 20th season, and it's probably the most excited I've been from an insider because you can feel it. And so look, it's the boys are doing great, Moisey's doing great, the backroom staff are doing great. So hopefully see where this journey takes us, isn't it? We'll see where it takes us.
Champions League for sure.
I'll be mental. Absolutely mental. But I don't want like if we had Champions League or whatever, Europe would be great, anywhere in Europe. I don't want to play Real Madrid or Barcelona, because you've been to Spain on holiday and Portugal. I want to go to Liechtenstein, some little farming like a little village where the West Ham lot will just turn up and take over the whole village. Yeah,
I'm not sure other than Mr. Gold prefer that. I think they'd rather go to Paris, Barcelona, to be honest.
I'm sure they would. But yeah, for me, it's. I think that'd be fun. It'd be a great time. But no, we'll see what happens. Anyway, but we're not talking about West Ham now. We're talking about West Ham in the past, and obviously for anyone sort of new to West Ham, obviously Daryl, you signed as a trainee in '98, weren't it? And spent like 4 years at the club.
Yeah, I was there in '99 to 2004. I moved out from Dublin in '99. Signed professional when I was 17 against Arsenal at Upton Park on the pitch.
Yeah.
I can't remember what year that was now. When was I 17? Year 2000 it would have been. We had a great time at the club, played with some good players, worked with some great coaches. Met my girlfriend, now wife, while I was there. My in-laws are all West Ham mad. So it's been a big part of my life. I'm moving from Dublin to here now, and still with me now.
Yeah, fantastic. And obviously moving to Dublin was obviously moving, a lot of people obviously moved to, obviously you moved across the water, was it always going to be West Ham you were signing for, or was there other clubs available at the time you're talking to?
Yeah, I played for Dublin against Belfast, and I was under 12. I was 11 years old, and that was the first time kind of scouts come over to watch the best of Dublin against the best of Northern Ireland, basically. And everybody was there: Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea, West Ham, obviously. And at that time, I used to get a letter nearly every day from a club to go on trial. So every holiday for me was Easter holidays, summer holidays. I was in England on trial for somebody, and probably the biggest ones that really chased me were Chelsea. I used to get Christmas cards and birthday cards from Gali, Hullett at the time, who were the managers there. But as soon as I come to West Ham, probably, to be brutally honest, Chadwell Heath, especially back in them days, it was probably the worst training ground around, to be honest. Yeah. But there was a charm at West Ham that just made me feel at home, that it was a working class area of London. I'm from a working class area of Dublin, and I just settled in. And I was probably unusual for me in my age group of Ireland, because the lads who were in my team of Ireland all went to the same club. So 2 or 3 of them at Sunderland, 2 or 3 of them at Man City. But I went on my own to West Ham. I was the only one who probably went on his own. I felt so at home in the environment there, and I was made to feel so welcome, and I loved every minute of it.
Yeah. And as you said, I can get that as well. It's sort of like there's this sort of East End charm, isn't there, around spit and sawdust, and it always will be like that. I don't want to see us this polished club, because that's not West Ham. As you said, sort of like we make do, we get things working, and
it's a working class club, but I think with a working class fan base, and I think that's the strength of the club, to be honest. I think the players who come through it and through the academy and playing the first team have probably got family who are huge fans, etc., and they know exactly what the fans expect to see. And I think I really do believe that's the strength of the football club.
Exactly, and as you said, you met your wife, which is brilliant, and her family all West Ham fans, and so and obviously manager at Daggers, that's in the same area. It's not like you can get away with it, really. To be fair,
locked in now.
Yeah, so you're locked in now. That's it, Dal. You're locked in for life. And obviously, yeah, I mean, and coming in, obviously, that we, at that time you'd have seen, obviously. We could speak about some of the players that you would have trained with and stuff, but, there was obviously a big influx of youth coming through the first team as well. So, for you as well, going in, thinking, Christ, this could be me. I can see, it's not like some of the bigger clubs now, their academies are full of players who are never going to play for the first team. Whereas there, at that time at West Ham, there was a conveyor belt with Tony Carr, wasn't there, really, of talent coming through?
Yes. I joined the year after the Youth Cup when they did. So I sat behind the dugout for the game at Upton Park. And I remember, I tell people this, that I sat next to Frank Lampard, and I can't remember, Steve Lowe must have Park hit one of them. And Joe Cole done that little flick over the lad's head and the Rabona. Yeah. I remember Frank turning around going, right, I'm off. I'm not playing in midfield with him. I'll get shown. And the talent of that team, that youth team, was incredible. And the freedom that Tony had given them to go and express themselves as well was superb. And the back three as well, who didn't play, Terrell Forbes, Izzy Erekpen, and Devon Angus, they were terrific footballers as well. Adam Newton, Bertie Brady, Garcia, Michael Franti, they were all very, very good players, all of them.
Yeah, and you just sort of, as you said, you started that, you joined like the year after, so there was a big sort of, imagine, there was a big buzz, another big buzz around, because it's like there was this crop of players coming through.
And they were on the first team, and because the training ground was so small, everybody was just like that all the time. So it wasn't like it is now, where you go to a big training ground at Chelsea or Man City or Tottenham, where there's two different sites for the first team and the youth team and the reserves, etc. It was just one little Chadwell Heath, and we were all squashed in together. And you'd go in on a Monday morning, and you go into the little gym or Razor Ruddocks and then and go, right, I'll give you a game of crossbars. So I remember playing Razor or crossbars. So you go in and you go, we'll play for 50 quid. And bearing in mind, I was a youth team player.
That's what I mean, yeah.
50 quid a week. So your bravado says, go on then. So I managed to win this game, and he went to me, right, go and get the money out of my car. So he's thrown me his car keys. So I've gone to his car, and he's got 2 Doberman in there. So I left the 50 quid in there. I didn't have to. Exactly, yeah. But you had that closeness with the first team. I thought that's the charm the club had, and the characters in the first team as well were so accepting of young players and wanted to help everybody. And it was a brilliant environment. It really was.
And particularly for yourself, who sort of, came over on your Todd as well, being sort of welcomed in there. And as I said, we've had Newts on, we've had Izzy on, we've had, obviously, we've had Joe on, we've had loads of these players on, and that's what comes through is having that sort of, as you said, sort of having, like, being so close and being, I mean, that first team as well was such a bunch of characters that you had to give it, otherwise you're going to get lost a little bit in the rat race, it seemed.
It was sink or swim, really, and it was simple as that. You go in day one. So I'm trying to think back when I first joined with Ian Wright, Razor, Stuart Pearce. So some really, really, really big characters, and people have had great careers, but they loved seeing you give it back to them. There wasn't obviously rude, personal, except as long as you did it with a bit of humour in it. I think it was accepting from everybody that it was a great place to be and a great place to learn. And still now, when you see people, for example, this summer, Cole called me because he was training for Live Aid or whatever. Not Live Aid, it's called the football one.
Yeah, like Soccer Aid.
We've probably been bagging him and training for 2 or 3 weeks with us every day, and great to have him in, and great for my lads to see Joe and speak to Joe and train with Joe, etc. So we've always said everything, all of us,
of course.
throughout the years.
And that's the thing. I think that is always the case. I mean, it does seem with that sort of that sort of youth team and that sort of squad that people still talk a lot to each other, and there's still, as you said, the fact that Joe could call you and you can go and train for a couple of weeks at the ground, and it's lovely. It's lovely to hear that, because I think now in the modern game particularly, people move so much that you don't seem to. It's like in 30 years' time, I don't envisage going down to the Queen's Theatre and seeing an evening with Sebastian Haller and Felipe Anderson. Do you know what I mean? Would still see TC and Macca. Would still see him do, same stories, but we'll still see him. And you said guys like yourselves, and I know the club are doing a lot of stuff with the youth team that won. I remember Bertie and stuff. They said they did evenings and stuff, and it's so important, man. It's so important, and obviously you must have learned a lot then taking to your playing career and then going into your management career as well. Because I mean, Harry Redknapp being one of the people, sort of your coaching. Not coaching, you didn't really do much coaching, but you know what I mean, sort of.
Oh, Harry signed me. Yeah. So when I signed, I played in the Mill Cup I'm fast forwarding a little bit. I played in the Mill Cup under 14 final. So we played at West Ham. We played against Crewe Alexandra in the final. Dean Ashton, funny enough, they beat us 3-1. He's got a hat trick, but I scored the other goal from near the halfway line, and it was a decent goal, probably the best I've ever scored, to be honest. And I signed not long after that for the club. And I remember Harry speaking from my mum and dad, obviously, who'd only ever seen him on the TV, that he'd look after me and take care of me and he'd be under my wing. And again, that was the bit of the charm that Harry had for the academy, and he was brilliant for the academy as well in terms of getting kids in. And I would have signed at the same time that the club signed Leon Britton, Jermaine Defoe. We had an Italian lad called Emmanuel Cascioni, who was a very good player, Daniel Sholand. So we all signed that probably the same summer. a good time.
It was a good time. Yeah, it was. No, it was a great time. And as you said, and that to me, I think you got in at the right time because if for a fan's perspective, that was probably the last time. I mean, obviously Harry was very, as you would love to blood the youth team players in, which was good. But also from a personality perspective, I think that was probably the last squad that was really fun. It's a fun. I mean, no disrespect to football now. Football's very professional, particularly in the Premier League, and you don't get characters like Razor and Ian Wright anymore, do you? Or John Moncur.
Yeah, Monks are crazy. No, you don't. You definitely don't. And they can't even Paolo. They can't. I can remember a game in training before, when the net wasn't quite stuck to the post. So it was next goal the winner, and Paolo's hit on the outside of the post. It didn't go onto the goal, but went through the back of the net. He ran off celebrating. Like, right, training over, Paolo's team won. And then you get Lomi and Monk throwing net. I didn't even go in. And there was always that kind of stuff going on that, wouldn't happen today because the net to be put on properly. Yeah. But it was a great time. And like you said, and there was some terrific footballers there as well.
Yeah, we've listed about 30 or so. We said just before, we talked about you doing the Hammers 11, and you could have done 3 teams easily, couldn't you, really? There's some great players, and that's why I love doing this show because, like, you talk about certain people, as you said, even like Monk. We had Monks on. He was a nutter, and he did Paolo's, and it was just a great time. There was such a bunch of characters. It was a really fun time. I think that Redknapp era was a real fun time for a fan because it was just a soap opera. It was literally a soap opera.
Well, that team played because there were so many Mavericks in it. I think Trevor Sinclair, like what a player Sinks was. Carrick coming through, like you said, Joe, Paolo, Canute, just after that. One Chop could do things that no one else could do. Could fall over the ball sometimes, but he had some ability, Paolo One Chop. Yeah. Repka coming in after that. There was so many good players that you play with. You look at.
Yeah. And obviously, you didn't manage to break into the first team. We've had a lot of players. We've had a lot, obviously, people like Newts and stuff who never broke in as well. And so, was it hard when you decide when you moved on? Was it a conscious decision to get some game time? There was too many, or was there a reason? Was it a number of things?
Probably the year we got relegated when Ben got ill. That year was my best year, probably, to be honest. I think I scored about 28 goals from midfield in the youth and reserve teams, and I was really close with Glenn. As the year Glenn, so me and Glenn Johnson were in the same youth team. So Glenn Ryder was the manager, and I spoke to Glenn. And Glenn, bearing in mind that I had Joe Cole, Blair, Bowyer, Carrick, Loam, Monks, all in midfield, pretty good players, all of them, to be fair. But Glenn had said to me that if we weren't in this relegation battle, he would have played me. He would have given me an opportunity because I'd been playing well and he liked me. And never really come, and then we got relegated. I signed a new contract in that summer when we got relegated. And Glenn obviously left into that season, and Alan Pardew come in. And the day after Alan come in, the day before he came in, I played a reserve game against Notts Forest and played quite well. And I seen him the next day, and I was due to play for Ireland under 20s against Italy in the following week, and I had to ask permission to go and play. And it was the same night that we played Spurs at White Hart Lane in the League Cup away. And he said to me that you might be subbing that. But I'd been out injured for a little while and I wanted to play for Ireland. I ended up going and playing for Ireland and getting injured again. And that was probably the start of my decline a little bit, if I'm being honest, at the club. And then I played for the reserves, never really got an opportunity to still train with the first team and travel with the first team, but never really got an opportunity to play. And I needed to play then. I was getting to an age, getting to 21 where I needed to sort of be playing first team football to have a career. And I went out to Port Vale at the end of that season.
Yeah, and as you said, I think, and it's funny, we've had, as I said, recently we've had a lot of players who started the youth team and then decided to move on to have, long careers in the lower leagues. So I said, we've had Izzy on, who obviously played so many games with Swansea and Scunthorpe. We had Hodges on. We've had Newts, obviously went to Peterborough and stuff. And I think that shows the because I think nowadays there's a lot of people who would stay in a Premier League academy, pick up their money and play reserve team football, but you had the desire to play first team football, and obviously you went to the Orient, you went to Stevenage, you played in some, Farnborough, loads of games, and so it was sort of It was a conscious decision. I think that's really commendable with all of you guys who we've spoken to have done that. Because some people could have easily picked up the money and carried on.
I
Really,
think
couldn't they?
with kind of my age group and before, we were given the tools to be able to survive at the lower levels because we were mollycoddled. And I've worked at Tottenham's Academy, for example, which is a fantastic academy, and the kids have got everything. And same as all of them now, not just Tottenham, but I'm just saying that because I worked there for a bit, and we didn't. We knew we understood hard work. We understood the graft you got to put into games of football. We understood bad pitches, holes in your boots, just got on with it. And I think that's different. I'm not sure that many kids now would be able to go from a Premier League club, get released, go to a National League club or a League Two club, and be able to really survive. It's not easy because you're not. I don't think you're given the tools now that we were back then, and it was a different time. And I think most of us who didn't make the grade at West Ham went out and had careers elsewhere and are still in the game now. A lot of us, you can go Grant McCann, Richard Garcia, Australia. There's lots of us that are still working in football. He's an agent now, and there's lots of people still involved in the game.
Definitely. We've got Richie coming on all the way from Perth Glory. He's coming on a couple of weeks' time, bless him.
He's good. So lived together, so we had digs. That was the other reason as well. I think we had such a good relationship and connection with that youth team. There was 10 of us who lived together in Romford, which was a great laugh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Romford nightlife as well. I live in Hornchurch, so I know all about that, my man. But yeah, I was a Loughton boy first, but now I'm Hornchurch boy. But yeah, I can get that now, and that's half the thing. I think with with a lot of people who come through the youth team, I think people don't realise. I mean, even someone like Declan, he mentioned in an interview a few months ago that he basically, to move from Chelsea to West Ham, he moved. And so he didn't see his mum until the weekends or something like that because he had to move out from where he lived to. And I think a lot of people don't realise that. You're young lads and you're living away from home, but you're living in another country, really. But as you said, it brings a stronger bond together in terms of that team and a bond which you've now continued forward into your professional life, which is brilliant. I love it.
As well, you're kind of used to failure because most. You fail more than you win in football. No matter what you look at, a training day you don't train well, or a game you lose, or a performance you don't play well, and you just have you have that strength of character to kind of bounce back and work hard. And we were definitely taught that from an early age.
Yeah, definitely. Right, okay. Let's talk. Let's stop delaying the inevitable. Let's talk about the Hammers 11 now. As I said, you typical manager. You've been making notes and stuff. You get that. The people who are still in the game, they take it seriously. I remember Newts was like, bless Newts, he's a cabbie, innit? And he was like, sitting there. Like, he didn't, he thought he would have done it on one of his off days. But anyway, so the whole idea is you pick an 11 from the players that you've played or trained with. And that's basically it. So that's sort of 4 or 5 years you spent at the club. Obviously, you trained with lots of first teamers, youth teams. You played in the youth team, reserves, whatever. Yeah. That's what we're going to do with. So that's how we're going to do. So we'll start off in goal, Daryl.
Yeah.
Who's going to be in goal?
I've gone with David James, who I would have obviously trained with and played a lot of pre-season games with. Obviously, played with Stephen Bywater or David Ford. But I've gone with James. Obviously, he's an unbelievable goalkeeper and a huge character as well. Yeah, he's nicked the number 1 spot.
He's nicked the number 1 spot. Yeah, he's a top boy, and he's still a top boy now. We had him on recently the other day. It was quite funny, and he did his 11, and then the next day he was filming something with someone I know, and they were talking about because I know them as well. So they were talking, and he texted me afterwards, not James, but the guy I was talking to. And he couldn't believe that he'd forgotten Paolo Di Canio in his 11. He'd not put Paolo Di Canio in his own. He'd put Canute and Defoe. Completely forgot about Paolo. He couldn't believe. So he wants to come on and do another one. But anyway, it's not going to happen. He made a mistake. Jamie. Crazy man. Right. Defence. You go through the teams. You've got it written down, Darryl.
I've got 3 at the back. So I'll go Anton Ferdinand, right centre half.
Yeah.
Thomas Repka in the middle. And Stuart Pearce on the left.
Oh. That is no nonsense, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Oh, where's old Thomas Repka? Let me find Thomas Repka. Oh, Thomas Repka, he still scares me on his Instagram.
I love Thomas Repka. I think anyone who was there at the time with Thomas Repka, any players would always love Thomas. He was there. He used to drive in every day in his big black Mercedes with the windows a little bit open with his smoke coming out. Way in. With his Metallica music blaring out. And he'd come in and kick 9 bells out of everyone every day. He was a tough man, but he was a competitor and a winner, and he was a good lad. He was a good lad. Sometimes.
Yeah, and I think about the thing about Thomas Repka is he, he played the hard man, and he was a hard man, but there was obviously when he famously finished his time at West Ham, he obviously was crying like a baby at that last game. I remember that game very, very well, and he still has an incredible affection for the club as well. So. Yeah, but he still scares me. Honestly, it's like when I'd send him a WhatsApp or not WhatsApp, an Instagram message, and he'll send it back, and and even that I'm scared of reading it, and it's just like 3 crossed hammers. And he still scares me from the Czech Republic, wherever he is at the moment. But yeah, top boy, and obviously Stuart Pearce as well. I mean, psycho.
Yeah, so I only really trained at Pearce when I come in as a youngster. So I put him in just because he's a legend. He was what a player, what a man. He must have been 39 then. I'm still not 39 yet. No, he was an incredible player, a competitor, and what a left foot, a hammer of a left foot.
Yeah, brilliant player, and obviously famously won Hammer of the Year that season, I think, which was not bad, as you said, for a 39-year-old, and obviously still doing working with the club now, and I think. That backroom stuff they've got now with Piercy and Kevin Nolan and people like that is doing great things.
Yeah, they are. Now, but he's top man Piercy and what player? Top
man. Right, okay. So there's your back 3. Yeah. Right, who's going to be next? Darryl?
Wing back. So right wing back Glenn Johnson.
Yeah.
And left wing back Trevor Sinclair.
Oof, I'll tell you what, that's tasty. That is tasty. I can't find Glenn Johnson. God, where's old Glenn gone? There's Ben. No, Glenn. There we go. Glenn Johnson. Yeah, top boy. Glenn.
So we were obviously the same age. Went through the same youth team together. Corey went off to Chelsea. Top player, great athlete. He's a really good guy as well. Like a really, really top fella. Went on to career obviously with England and Liverpool and stuff like that. And still down to earth. Still speaks to me every now and then as well. And he's a good guy.
Yeah, and obviously, if anyone's waiting for the golf courses to open, it was Glenn, wasn't he?
Yeah. I love a game of golf.
Isn't it? Until I started doing this show, I never realised how much golf footballers play. Yes. I thought it was a piss take. I always thought it was a piss take, but literally everyone is playing golf, and I think, now particularly when that sort of a week before it started, you saw on Instagram and things, everybody was starting to get their little nets out in their gardens, and brilliant. And obviously then Tricky Trev on the left wing back.
Yeah, slightly out of position. He probably played there more for England on the left than West Ham really, but can't leave Sinks. I love Sinks, how hard he walked. He was goals he scored. He scored some great goals. A funny guy as well, and he was good. He was good with the youth team players as well. Trevor was one of them that he'd always stay after training with any youth team player to practice stuff and do stuff, and he was an infectious character. He had so much energy. It was incredible.
Yeah, he is, and he's a top boy. He's done a lot of things for the channel and stuff as well. He's a really nice guy and still loves the club, and yeah, I mean he was like well, it was I always tell him in this story, he was like my granddad, God rest his soul. He was a bit blind towards the end, and basically anything that was done good by a black player for West Ham was Trevor Sinclair. Could have been Defoe, could have been Xhaka, but it was always Trevor Sinclair. Was always bloody Trevor Sinclair, only good player we got. But yeah, Sinks is a top boy. Right. I tell you, this is looking good, this team, man. I like it. Right, okay, so, and obviously, because now we picked Trevor, he'll like the video, because he likes everything he gets put in. So there we go. Social engagement. Right, okay, so Sinks is in. Who is going to be next? Go on, you open your Haribo. Your daughter's one. All right, I know, Darryl, I know.
You'll probably hear her in a minute. The 3 in midfield, I'll go Michael Carrick, Joe Cole, and Mark Noble.
Cool. That ain't bad at all. Jesus. Some type of minutes will go along. Joe Cole and Noble. Tell me about Carrick. Tell me about old Mickey Carrick.
Yeah, so we used to live in digs with Mike. I love Mike. I think he was so underrated as a player.
I agree.
Best one-touch player you've seen, really. Played the game at his own pace. Played the game at his tempo, and he's hard to get near.
Yeah. Don't be silly. But yeah, no, he's a top boy. It's just amazing, isn't it? He's one of those players, I think, Daryl, that there's certain players who you don't realise how good they are until they're not in the team anymore. And everywhere Carrick's gone, he's never been replaced, in my opinion.
Like the best thing you can say about Michael is that he made everyone else better.
Yeah.
He was a midfield player that passed the ball to you and you didn't give it away because his pass was so good to you. He gave it to the right time, the right side. He was a terrific football player, and I'm sure he'll go into management. I know he's obviously assistant manager at United now, but I'm sure he'll go into management and coaching before the down the career, and he's a top man. Top man.
Definitely. And then we've mentioned Joe, but we'll talk about him a bit more as a player. What can you say about him?
He wasn't bad.
He was all right.
Yeah, Joe was the one. Probably again, I would have been 15 years old probably. So I've just joined the club and we're playing Aston Villa away on the 17 game. Peter Braybrook's manager. So Joe broke his leg. Was it against Derby? Something like that. At around that time. So Joe was actually playing for the 17s against Aston Villa, which was ridiculous to be honest. So he's played an hour just to get him fit basically, and he's done all sorts of mad things like he does. And this is what I used to love about Peter Braybrook. So he called me on and I'm like, come on, you're going on for Joe. So it would have been my fourth game for you under 17, so I'm playing 2 years to book myself. And he went, just do what Joe did. And that was it. Just do what Joe did.
Brilliant.
Go out there, do some step overs and a cry for the back heels and go enjoy yourself. And it put me at ease though, because I just thought, oh, I might as well try some stuff then. I'll try that. And it was, but Joe was different class, absolutely different. Yeah. And as a bloke as well, he's a top bloke. Oh yeah.
Top boy, isn't he? And again, it's funny how many of, as you said, that your sort of age group or that sort of group of youth team players and slightly younger and stuff as well have gone into management. You mentioned Grant, you mentioned Richard, Joe. I think Joe's going to be, Carrick. Obviously, I think Joe's going to be a fantastic manager. He's a great analyst. He's a great pundit on BT Sport.
I think the thing is with us as well, like again, my kind of age group, I'd say, and older than me, is that we just love football.
Yeah,
I do, and I speak to I've obviously got 2 daughters, but I was speaking to a friend of mine yesterday. And he's got a young son. I said about him playing football, and he's an ex-footballer as well. And he said, he doesn't really play. You can take it or leave it. We had no choice.
Yeah.
You're player, you're getting in trouble. Well, I think that there's so many other things for kids to do now. We were so zoned in on football and trying tricks and trying to be better than watching something on Match of the Day and trying to copy it. And you stay out after training for hours just practicing tricks. That's when I make them up. And that was how your day was spent because there was nothing else to do. And we all loved it, I think, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think that's, and there's no looking away from that. As you're right. I think there is. I think it does seem that sort of that group. There was just so much love for football, and as you said, that youth team final. Just literally, tearing Coventry a new one. Over those 2 legs. It was a great time. And obviously, you mentioned Nobes as well. So we got to talk about Nobes. He's played a few games for us.
Yeah, he's not bad, is he? No, he's all right. Probably roles reversed, but I said about Joe. So I was playing then in the 17s a couple of years later, and Noel played in my team. So when he was under 15, so he came on. I think him and Carl Reid were the 2, and Ishmael Welsh maybe the 3 of them come up in the 15s to play for us on a Saturday. And normally, to be honest, when you had a player come up to our team, they were normally physically really good or strong for their age, but quite small. But his brain, 1-touch again, 2-touch football was excellent. He just settled easily into our team at that age, and he had a real maturity about him when he was now 14, 15 years old, and you knew he was going to be a special player when he come in and was so composed on the ball, and he's gone on to have a hell of a career. And another lad that we spoke about that knows exactly what West Ham's all about.
Yeah.
What he's about, what the fans are about, and he loves the club, and he's been a great servant for the football club. He really has. Definitely,
I totally agree, man. Yep, that's a tasty midfield 3. Right, up front, or whatever you're going to do up front.
Paolo's got to be in the team. I think anyone who's been at West Ham and been there to leave out Paolo was crazy. an absolute genius, a madman off the pitch. But what a talent! What a talent! Just some of the things he's doing training every day, which is, outrageous, to be honest. You can't even explain some of the things he used to do, and his standards, his stories. I remember being young, doing a weight session with the youth team in the gym, and Paolo had stayed in to do a bit extra after training one day, and within 5 minutes we're all sitting on the floor like kindergarten kids. Sorry about when he was at AC Milan, about the players he played with. And that he just took over this, not weight, then he was just talking us through his career and telling us about different bits and bobs of it. And then a couple of years later, I probably started to train more regularly with him, or a year later or so, and he was an unbelievable player.
He was an unbelievable player. He was just he just epitomised that era at West Ham. That sort of he could be absolutely mesmeric, but then he could be a petulant child next minute. And as you said, then he said in training he could be doing some great stuff. Then 5 minutes later, it's story time with Paolo, and I just again, just a personality and just. There's a thing on BBC Sport at the moment about one of the best transfers, or the most bargain transfers of all time, and he's one of them. And he is, he is. Seeing what we picked up for him and the risk Harry took to get him in. And
when he used to pick that ball up on the little inside left channel, see every single West Ham fan in the stadium, you could hear the seats hit the back, where everyone stood up because they knew somebody was getting chopped.
He always does it though, didn't he? He always did it, and he did this really slow motion back heel. This slow, and he'd always fake back heel, and everyone fell for it.
Yeah, even all the crowd did. He was just. But the thing about it was that, he did it on a Saturday against different players in the Premier League. He did it every day against people that played against him the day before, and he still goes that good. He was, he was exceptional.
Yeah, top man. Right, so there's one spot left. Some good players could be in there. Who's it going to be, Daryl?
Defoe.
Jermaine, yeah.
So, what a goal scorer. You play a five-a-side in training, and you're playing for a minute, and Jermaine would have got 5 goals. He was just out his feet shot, left foot, right foot. It was just like bang, so quick that nobody was even set for him to shoot. It was so quick. He was, I think, movement, sharp, confident, cockiness. He had that good arrogance. What I'd say, he was funny. He was full of himself. Everyone loved him for it because he was so good.
Yeah,
top player. He really was a top player.
Yeah, no, he was. He wasn't just a natural guy. I mean, everyone we've interviewed who played with him, just the most natural goal scorer they've ever seen. Play. He was just.
Oh, he was unbelievable. His very first game for the club would have been my first game. We played Southampton away on the 17s. It was. We won 6-1. I actually got a goal and he got 5. He walked back across the pitch, and I think he went to Tony Carr, who was managing in the 19s. He went, "Please don't put me in that team again. I'm too good for that." And just carried on walking. And that was just. He was top class. He was top class.
Yeah, brilliant. And that's the team, man. There's a team. There it is. I tell you what, that ain't a bad team at all, Daryl. Bloody hell.
Of course. I wouldn't mind managing that on Saturday.
No, I mean, who've you got the weekend, Daryl? Who have you got next?
We've got Bromley away Saturday.
Oh, and obviously you had was it? Because we've had Danny on, and obviously Aldershot beat you. It was like,
better Monday for sure. We went very
brilliant. Listen, Daryl, mate. Look, don't want you to spend any more time away from your daughter. Thank you so much, man. It's been a right giggle. Thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, mate.
Cheers, man. Obviously, thank you to everyone for watching or listening. Whatever it is, whatever you've done, give it a like, give it a share. And from myself and from Daryl, that way. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. Wash those hands. Get those jabs when you get your appointments. Cover new irons, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Much love. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.